Hi, this is Michael Schmalley and the RTFM Machine series, Common Operations, Section 2. There's a couple things, I'm trying to limit these videos to 15 minutes, and there was a couple things I didn't say that need to go in this section, so this is kind of an addendum. Now, one thing is that I said the undo has Shift Z, Shift Y for take undo, and Control Shift Y and Control Shift Z for step undo and redo. On the controller, we have Shift undo is a step undo, and Shift redo is a step redo. And you can see on the controller that it does say step undo in black and step redo in black, which means it is executed with the shift button. So that was one thing that I didn't say. I ran out of time. And just remember that Z is undo and Y is redo. It's common in all applications. Those are the keys that are default anyway, if you haven't changed your key mappings. And the Command Shift modifier is what makes it step, where it takes increments, not the full take. So the undo, redo, you will use those a lot. They're actually, I have noticed they have become part of my workflow in a good way, because it allows, when you're recording stuff, it allows you to be more free. You don't worry about messing up. Everybody's not perfect, and when you're recording MIDI into stuff, half the time you're just trying to flesh out ideas. So you're really not concerned about timing as much as the progression, or you're trying to get a beat. That's timing, but it's more like, is this going to be 2 bars? Is this 1 bar? That, sounds better. So the undo, redo really comes in handy, because you're not worried about, you can listen to something and then go, wow, didn't like that, okay. And then it's on the, controller, where you can specify increments or the whole shebang. It's nice. I use it quite often now. And I use it when I'm in a DAW too. When I'm working with Ableton, I found a nice little workflow with the push, where, using chord mode in the push and recording stuff into the piano roll, it works really well, and having the undo redo is quite handy for Maschine, because you're not worried about keyboard focus and stuff like that as it's being run as a plug-in. It's just straight off using the controller, using, the Maschine controller where it's meant to be. It's kind of convoluted how it's set up for Ableton anyway. Okay, the other thing that I didn't get to, that I ran out of time, was a very nice feature that is another RTFM special, because I did not really know it even existed until I read through the manual from start to end. And that is the page display, and this I think just mainly applies to the studio controller. I haven't used the normal Maschine to even know, and I haven't made it a habit to flip through that manual, because I just don't have it. So, but anyway, so where we've got these parameter pages like we explained earlier, and you can cycle through them with the navigation buttons here, or you click the tabs. If you press down navigate, you can see them, which I did not know. Okay, you can see them up here. main, advanced, and modulation. And you can see main, advanced, and modulation. And this is awesome, because on those synths like Massive or Absinthe or whatever, where they have a lot of parameters and Native Instruments has gone to the trouble to organize them so you can find them easy, but there's so many good banks that you find yourself just cycling through them. This is great because you just press the pads. The pads line up with which bank you want. So anywhere you can call that up and switch, and then boom, you're right back there. So I want to go back to main, or, the slow way is like this. Some people like clicking. But when you're performing live, it's really easy to just go boom, if you know what you're looking for. And you can make your own. See, that's for down the road. The manual hasn't got there. So that is one thing I wanted to say. And something that related to that I didn't say is how to pin modes. Okay, all of these buttons on the controller can be pinned except the duplicate and select. Well, actually, no, I think, yeah, they can all be pinned. So pinning means that it's like a sticky mode. So it turns the button mode from a gate to toggle. So if your button mode is pinned, then it's a toggle button. If it's not, it's a gate button. So as you can see here, the mute button is acting as a gate. It's only in mute mode while I have the button pressed. But every one of these, that one's pinned, that one's pinned. Every one of these buttons has a corresponding pin mode up here that when selected, when the bright light's on, it will be in toggle mode. So depending on what you're doing, it's good, because if you're in a more slow design mode, where you're, say, like with muting or soloing, and you just want to mute things, you don't have to press it down. You can experiment, mute and unmute, or if you want to select, you can just sit here and, figure out what you're doing, and that's handy. But when you're playing live or something, having them in trigger is nice, because you want to mute something, mute back, boom. Want to change a scene real quick, I'm changing the scene. Oh, I want to change a pattern, I'm going to change a pattern. Boom, boom, pattern, back. Then, I want to solo this, solo. So, there's definitely reasons for wanting one or the other at different times, and Native Instruments makes it really easy to change it. So you just hold down the button, it's always on the far left, press it, when it's lit, it's in a toggle button mode, unlit, it's in a gate mode, trigger. So it just flashes on and off, select, solo, all these things. Okay, that was pretty much the two things I wanted to say that I didn't have much time to go more in depth on. One thing I did forget again here is going back to the navigate, and this can also be pinned, so if you want to just sit there and navigate your screens, which doesn't make sense because you can't use them, but you can just look at it without holding it down. The thing I didn't mention is that you can actually cycle through these and select your banks. So if you wanted to, set up, if you had, say, on this kick, you had more a chorus and a limiter, you can go through this and set up the pages you want to be in. So you see here the kick is selected. Okay, I want to be in the modulation, and then the chorus doesn't, it only has one page. And here, okay, I'm going to be in the sidechain input. So now before you start editing anything, you've set up the pages that you're editing, and you're, aware of what you're doing. So then you can get out of Navigate by unpinning it. Or remember, you can have it in toggle mode, and you leave it in toggle mode and just get out of it by deselecting it, and then you select, deselect. But if you want to get out of the pin mode, hold it down or be in the mode and press the far left, Navigate, which takes you out. So now when you're selecting your instruments up here or here, you can see that you're on the page that you set up for your editing. It's, some people may use it or not, but it's interesting, having it set up this way. See, this is a sidechain page. Sidechain, main, and then we were on modulation. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to get over. But these things, like the pinning and the page viewing, set for selecting and using the pads. There's more things that I'm going to be showing that have to do with setting your grids and all that do this same type of UI, setup. You'll start to see similarities between each mode and how Native Instruments program the application and the controller, and they do the same things, which is nice. It's just, I am pretty positive that a lot of people haven't read the manual to know these things, and that's why I'm making these videos, as I said, to cement it in my brain and help other people. Some people probably think I'm dry or whatever, but I'm being pretty logical, because I am going through the manual section by section and just commenting and being a little narrator on top of it and saying what I've learned. So okay, that closes out the common operations. That was the overview of the undo redo a little bit more, and the navigate mode and pinning. So now you should be able to get through banks. You should know quite a few different ways to get through them. IC4, 5, there's a bunch of ways. That's the trick to mastering this and getting really fluid with your music design and creation. Yes, you probably will not make a whole song in Maschine. I've heard it before, and I tend to agree, but you can really use this for a tool to get chunks and library pieces, and have little pieces of, if you just want to sit down for 20 minutes and bang something out and leave it, write it down. It's kind of like a sketchbook, where you may not sit down and do the whole sketch at the moment, but you're sketching it out, and then you can go back and look at all those hundreds of pages of sketches and pick one out when you're in a really inspired mood. So this is the way I see it. The Maschine is a big sketchbook. Well, until next time, thanks for watching, and see you later.